It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a very good evening, Zimbabwe. It's Top Hit Tuesday here on ZiFM Sport. The team is here to deliver yet another crackerjack edition of your favorite show, the way to end your day here on ZiFM Stereo, my station, your station. They are Mike Madoda, Chris Midzi, Alois Bunjira. Our producer is Sean Tafirinika. He puts it all together. And my name is Barry Manandi. Today, we're talking about the Chevrons on the home front, where their captain, Sean Williams, has expressed confidence with the composition of the squad, which includes young blood ahead of the Afghanistan series, saying the move is a giant step forward in preparation for the future. Does the team agree? They did last time. Now, in hindsight, perhaps some views have changed. We'll find out at the top of the show immediately after our power play. In our international sports news, we've got our Formula One report, which is our weekly staple here on Tuesdays. It's proudly brought to you by Zamoko, just like every other Tuesday. And Alex Albon says there is no point wallowing about over losing his Red Bull Formula One drive, because that will not help him win a race seat back.
Also a staple on every show is our trip around the world in 60 with Chris, and this time we'll be taking off in France, where organizers of the 2023 Rugby World Cup has been extended by 1 week to allow all teams at least 5 days preparation before pool matches. In India, assistant coach Graham Thorpe has challenged England's batsmen to step up and lighten the load on captain Joe Root's shoulders ahead of the third test against India. And we'll touch down in the United States, where Russell Westbrook flirted with a triple-double as he and Bradley Beal helped the Washington Wizards overturn a 17-point deficit to beat the LA Lakers in overtime and extend their win streak to 5 and the Lakers' losing streak to 3.
In the second half of the show is the beautiful game where Andrea Pirlo vowed Juventus will fight to the end to retain their Serie A title after Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice in a 3-0 victory over Crotone. Being a Tuesday, we'll dip into France, where Marco Verratti acknowledged Paris Saint-Germain are starting to lose a lot of opportunities to retain the Liga title after their 2-0 home defeat to Monaco this past weekend. And there's UEFA Champions League action tonight. Chelsea will take on Atletico Madrid in the first leg of their last 16 tie, and Lazio clash with Bayern Munich at the Estadio Olimpico.
But first, as always, is our power play. Top Hit Tuesday. Today we call upon WizKid. This one's featuring Burna Boy. It's a lethal combination. Let's see how well they do. This track is called Ginger.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Of course, you can get in touch with us on our various digital platforms. Simply follow at ZiFM Sport. We like to continue the conversation even outside of show times. And also, YouTube gives you an opportunity. Sometimes we even simulcast on YouTube to follow the show even after when it's over, just in case you missed it. And in our individual capacities on social media, we are at Chris Midzi, at Gazaman14. That's, of course, Alois Bunjira, at Mike Madoda, at Sean Tafirinika, and at Barry Manandi. Later on, we'll be taking you around the world in 60, and then, of course, our Formula One report, proudly brought to you by Zamoko. But first, let's start on the home front, where we're touching down in the UAE. Now, Chevrons captain Sean Williams has expressed confidence with the composition of the squad, which includes young blood, ahead of the Afghanistan series, saying the move is a giant step forward in preparation for the future. Williams believes the young players included in the squad to face Afghanistan in the UAE are good ambassadors of the country and can brew a shocker in the 5-match series. The Chevrons arrived in Abu Dhabi yesterday and are set to fine-tune their preparations before the series begins. All right, Mikey. Now, the squad that was announced and traveled across to Abu Dhabi, the UAE, has an average age that is very low for a Chevrons side. We're used to seeing very experienced campaigners. We spoke about it last time when the squad was announced, saying that it was a good opportunity for the youngsters to step up. Well, the proof in the pudding is about to be shown because the series starts imminently.
Absolutely, Barry. 2 test matches versus Afghanistan. Throw in 3 T20 internationals as well. It will allow the relatively inexperienced players that we've got on that tour, the likes of Richard Ngara, 23 years old. Brendan Mafuta is 23 years old. A Blessing Muzarabani, very exciting player who we saw come along in leaps and bounds in that tour of Pakistan just a couple of months ago. It will allow those players, including, of course, Wesley Madere, who many are hoping is going to be the mainstay of our batting lineup for years to come, and he's just a nipper fresh out of school. They will be accorded the opportunity to perform and to show what they can do in the absence of senior players against opposition that we should beat if we are to put our hand up as Zimbabwe and say that we are playing competitive cricket and that we can offer competition to some of the better cricketing nations. You know, you don't blood in youngsters versus India, versus Australia, versus New Zealand, versus England. You blood them in when you play some of these associate nations like Afghanistan, like Ireland, like Holland. This is when you give opportunities to youngsters and say, hey, stake a claim if you want to participate in the bigger series to come.
It's a opportunity that's been given to those youngsters, as Mike points out, against opposition ordinarily that we should beat. But it's also opposition that's going to be reasonably competitive, Chris, because Afghanistan themselves have come along in leaps and bounds, especially when you look at the white ball cricket. So perhaps in that those 3 T20 internationals where they're going to be very competitive. We're not sure what to expect in the test matches, but bottom line is we should be able, if we execute the basics correctly, to put them away.
Definitely. I think the key in what you said is that we expect Afghanistan to at least be competitive, and we also expect the Chevrons to show up and also be competitive. I think it's, like Mike pointed out, a good ground on which the players themselves can gain confidence. If they're able to do well and to garner a good result against a team like Afghanistan, this is definitely going to do well, especially for those younger players. And also, I think it's a boost of confidence to the entire team to be able to go up against Afghanistan and compete without the services of some of the players that we would regularly rely on. You, Brendan Taylor, Craig Irvine, Peter J. Moore. Those are players that we don't have particularly on this tour, and it's important for the team to not necessarily always have these experienced campaigners and also earn their own stripes against a team that they should be able to do well against. It's a good measure for the new players as well as your experienced campaigners in terms of them from a leadership perspective. So Afghanistan should be competitive, and this should be good for them.
They've got very good players. I mean, if you consider their T20 team, you know, they've got, I think, arguably one of the most prized players in that format in Rashid Khan. He's a bowler. And then, of course, the likes of Mujibir, Rahman, Mohammad Nabi. These are players that we see participating regularly in tournaments like the IPL, as well as the Big Bash in Australia. So when it comes to the T20 setup, I expect it to be almost 50-50, especially playing in those conditions out in the United Arab Emirates. But when it comes to the test format, Zimbabwe should have an edge in that particular format because we have the pedigree, we have the relatively more experienced players.
And listen, we've got Alois Bunjira, who's our football pundit, but I want to bring you into the conversation, Alois, and ask you this question because you started your footballing career at a relatively young age. I think you made your debut around about 16, 17. And at that age, what is the psyche of a sports person? Would you prefer to make your debut and run out against quality opposition, or would you like to bed yourself in against the teams that you ordinarily should do well against and then build up your stock? What's the preference of an athlete?
It's very interesting question that you are posing, but obviously I'll answer it according to how I feel and how I felt. I believe the best way is to go with a lesser opponent. A lesser opponent where you are not overawed as a youngster, where you can actually play without so much pressure. You see, when I started playing, my first game was against Rio Tinto. away at Rio Tinto, where people didn't know me at all, and there was no big crowd. And I was playing like probably it was like money game, like Kingo game. I don't know these people. I didn't even know the Rio Tinto players. I didn't know them, So I think it helped me to actually believe. Then after the game, I was being told now, oh, this is Nigi. Then I started realizing, oh, that is it. But imagine if I was playing at Rufaro Stadium, 30,000 fans against Moses Chunga and Memory Mchera, I would collapse and straight away. And then all of a sudden, I'm thinking I can't make it as a youngster. So I would rather gradually, smaller team, then slowly, when you've got the confidence that you can actually play, then you start looking at, oh, I played against Efet Lungu. Now I'm playing against Francis Shonai. They play together in the national team. So they are the same. So now psyching ourselves up now, which compare. But no, it's just football. If I could play against John Piri in Rio Tinto, I can still play against Caetano Tempo here. So I can play. So that's how you can. So these youngsters for cricket, if they will see now, Afghanistan plays against India, we play against Afghanistan, and they lose not only to India, then you start thinking, but I can play. If I can play against Afghanistan like this in Afghanistan, then I think that's the way to do it.
So yet another feather in the cap of the selectors out at Zimbabwe cricket, albeit that this was almost enforced upon them because the likes of Brendan Taylor, Craig Irvine, PJ Moore, your Tendai Chataras, Kyle Jarvis's, and your Chamuchi Babas unavailable for a combination of reasons, injury, illness, etc. Now they had to choose the youngsters and put them into this series, but the good that's coming out of it is that they're able to blood them in. The experienced campaigners, Mike, they're going to have a load on their shoulders. Captain Sean Williams, of course, your likes of Regis Takava, Donald Tiripano, and of course Sekanda Razabat, who's one of the leadership of that team. They're going to have to guide these youngsters through these games.
Absolutely. They're going to have to put their hand up, Barry. They have the experience, they have the know-how, but they can't do it alone. You take a look at the experience. The experience is perhaps leaning more on the batting side. So Sekanda Raza, Craig Irvine, Sean Williams, they'll have to perform with the bat, lay the foundation now for our bowlers. But our bowling unit, Barry, I'm more interested to see how the spinners are going to do. Wellington Masakadza, for me, has flattered to deceive. And, the cynics will say that he carries the right name, and that's what's according and affording him the opportunity to be in the national team. Well, here's an opportunity for him to show that it's not the Masakadza name that's seeing me in the national team. I can be in this national team, not on the reputation of my brother, who's now the big boss at Zimbabwe cricket, and not on the reputation of the name Masakadza, but on my own performances. He's going to have to bowl very well in those conditions, which are favorable to spin bowlers, mind you. We need to see some match-winning performances from Wellington.
I certainly need to, and of course there is the teenage sensation that Mike really loves. He spoke about him earlier, Wesley Madevere. We're all looking forward to seeing how he does, particularly in the tests. He'll make his test debut on this tour, and he seems to have a very good technique, and that technique could land him in good stead going forward, especially in the longer format of the game. Usually, Chris, they say that the longer the format of the game, the more the cream rises to the top. So if we are generally better than Afghanistan in the test matches, we ought to beat them. We hope that is what takes place, and certainly it'll be a confidence booster for Zimbabwe cricket if we are able to record a series victory against Afghanistan in this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Barry. I think for this particular tour, winning is imperative. We've got the people, in terms of talent, we've got the talent who can do so. It's just a matter of how well they can apply themselves, not to be overawed by the occasion for the youngsters, and to really just play their best so that we can really measure our team and see exactly where we are in terms of cricket.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z. Right, let's give you a local sports news roundup, starting with tennis news, where budding Bulawayo tennis player Kudzai Chapepa won his second Wilson Grand Prix under-14 girls singles title inside 2 months, beating Sophia Kowena 6-love in the final played in South Africa. The promising ace, who's just 12 years old, also won last month's under-14 girls Wilson Gauteng Grand Prix title in Johannesburg. Chapepa beat top seed Almi von Skalkbeek 6-2, 6-3 in the January leg of the Wilson Grand Prix. In triathlon news, Zimbabwe national coach Pamela Fulton has held the Women's Sport Leadership Academy High Performance Coaches course The program is designed for high-performance coaches with the aim of preparing coaches to step up and be part of the growing number of coaches who can coach at an elite level. Fulton, who recently graduated, was among 26 coaches from around the world who was offered a place for the course in 2019. We wrap it up with football news, where Warriors coach Zdravko Logaris insists there is no added pressure to his current situation as the national team coach. The firebrand Croat is without a win in the Warriors dugout in 6 outings and recently oversaw 3 consecutive defeats at Chan, sparking criticism from some sections of the local football fraternity. He will lead the Warriors in their quest to book a place at AFCON when they take on Botswana and Zambia in the decisive Group H qualifiers that will be played next month. Alois Loga says that he's not under any pressure. He's not worrying, but the results tell a different story. The fans are under pressure. The fans are worrying.
Yeah, of course, Mike. He might just tell the nation or tell everybody that cares to listen that he is not under pressure, but deep down he knows that he is under pressure. We all know that he is under pressure. This is it. This is the big one. You know, people may forgive him for the Chan escapade, for whatever happened in the Chan. But this one, nobody forgives this one. For failure to qualify for the AFCON, we have tested it before. We were in a group that is favorable. We know we can. So he is under pressure. He might not say it. He might try to paint a picture out there, but he's under pressure because these games have to be won. He hasn't won a game for Zimbabwe, and this is it. This is so important for Zimbabwe that he has to win this one.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Let's give you a Formula One update. Alex Albon says there is no point wallowing about over losing his Red Bull Formula One drive because this will not help him win a race seat back. The Thai driver has been replaced by Sergio Perez for this season after Red Bull felt that Albon had not delivered what it needed in his bid to take the fight to Mercedes for 2021. Albon also says he feels the support of the team and he'll keep working hard to improve. Let's hear from him.
A lot through support, actually, through my trainer, my family, but the team. It's always been from the very beginning, stepping into the team at Spa. I felt this overwhelming feeling of support through the mechanics, the engineers, Christian and Dr. Marco, and that's never gone away. It's always been there, and that makes a big difference, to be honest, because you can go into the paddock, go into the factory every day and know that the team are behind you. We're coming up with all different ways to get the feeling in the car that I want to get, and just to work on the areas that I know I need to work on.
Well, he's been retained as a reserve and test driver for this year, Chris. Were you a bit surprised that they let him go? They didn't give him another chance?
It's a little bit tricky. Not necessarily completely surprised, but I think when you have a vehicle like what Red Bull had in the last season that was able to compete, you've got a Max Verstappen who is able to compete. You expect your second driver to be able to do the same. And I think there's a lot of pressure there in terms of performing, taking the race to Mercedes that Alex Albon was not necessarily able to do. But look, he's 24 years old. He can definitely bounce back from this. It seems from what he's saying that he's got a positive attitude about it. Hopefully it doesn't make a big dent in his career, but if he's working hard to come back, fingers crossed, he's able to deliver. The thing about Formula One is it's about the results. At the end of the day, it's about the results. So if he's able to come back, he needs to deliver.
And that's the thing about all sports, Barry. It's results oriented. If a team feels that you can't deliver, if a team feels that you're failing to fulfill your potential, then they're always going to make decisions like this. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's just the nature of sport, isn't it?
Especially that second part, mate, whereby we all saw the potential that Alex Albon had. And in truth, we expected him to achieve a lot more, especially with the points that Chris made, where he had a decent vehicle. He was in a decent seat and needed to show that he was in that decent vehicle. It didn't happen for him. He's still a young man. Let's see how it goes forward. If he gets another stab at it, he's got to certainly do more and achieve exactly what you said, his potential.
Hi, you're listening to ZiFM Sport. My name's Graham Sharp, and I'm the first Zimbabwean to take on the Dakar Rally in a bike.
Z. Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in France, where the 2023 Rugby World Cup has been extended by 1 week to allow teams at least 5 days preparation before pool matches. Player squad sizes will also increase from 31 to 33, with the decisions decided to improve player welfare standards. The chairperson of World Rugby, Sir Bill Beaumont, says this is a landmark day for Rugby World Cup and the sport. We'll head over to India, where assistant coach Graham Thorpe has challenged England's batsmen to step up and lighten the load on captain Joe Root's shoulders ahead of the third test against India. Root is averaging 90 in 4 tests this year, with first innings scores of 228 and 186, laying the groundwork for a 2-0 win in Sri Lanka, while another double ton helped England win the series opener against India. Dom Sibley and Ben Stokes both scored 80s in the first test in Chennai, but Root's failure in the second test at the same venue coincided with a crushing 317-run defeat as India leveled the series. We'll touch down in the United States, where Russell Westbrook flirted with a triple-double as he and Bradley Beal helped the Washington Wizards overturn a 17-point deficit to beat the LA Lakers in overtime and extend their win streak to 5. Beal scored 33 points and Westbrook added 32 as the visiting Wizards rallied for a 127-124 overtime victory over the Lakers for their first 5-game winning streak in 3 years.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić, and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The Nerazzurri, the Black and Blues, Inter Milan.
It's Romelu Lukaku, and it was never in doubt. He's a beast at the best of times, but this season he has become a monster.
The Giallorossi, the Yellow and Reds, AS Roma.
Belotti has a go! Tremendous hits! That's what he's capable of!
La Viola, the Purple Ones, Fiorentina.
Brock Ribery seals a glorious win for Fiorentina with a sumptuous goal at San Siro.
The Bianconeri, the Black and Whites, Juventus.
Ronaldo seals yet another 3 points for Juventus.
Tough yet colourful. The best of Italian football on Z.
Don't forget our Champions League preview is coming up a bit later on. But first, let's give you a wrap of the European League, starting in Italy, where Andrea Pirlo vowed Juventus, quote, will fight until the end to retain their Serie A title after Cristiano Ronaldo scored twice in a 3-0 victory over Crotone. Now, Ronaldo had gone 3 games without a goal, but headed home a first-half double as Juve claimed a first win in 4 matches. Let's hear from Andrea Pirlo.
I'm not worried. We know Inter Milan are a strong team, a great team even. We knew we had to fight with them and with other teams if we want to win the Scudetto again. We have to only focus on ourselves and to try to achieve as many points as we can to arrive at the end of the season in the position of being able to fight for the title.
Z.
And Alois, listening to the maestro, the former midfield maestro, Andrea Pirlo there, talking about fighting till the end. That's an attitude that he needs from his players as well, because it's never over until it's over.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, Barry, that it's actually Juve that are saying fighting to the end. You know, it's actually good listening, to hear that, because we are always hearing other clubs saying they are fighting to the end, trying to chase Juve. So now it's the other way around. But like we have always said, guys, we can never discount Juventus in the Italian equation. At all times, even if they are 10 points behind with 6 games to go, you can still not discount them. So they are coming, they have won. You don't know what they're going to bring up in the next game. If they win 3 games on the trot, they are back in it and they are back with a bang. So you can never discount them. All Inter needs to do is to keep on winning and not mind what Juve is doing. Because for me, Inter is the team that is most likely going to be the one that can take it away from Juventus. They just need to focus, win their games, and not mind. But like their coach said, Juve will not throw in the towel yet. They will keep fighting, and they are a big club. And when they hit form, they can actually go for many matches without losing.
Mike, they're 8 points behind the leaders, Inter, who are sitting on 53 points. They're on 45 points. And in between the two is AC Milan, which is 4 points behind their city rivals. And you look at that points difference because Juventus has got a game in hand. You got to think to yourself, if they can win that game in hand, they are well in it because they'll be 5 points behind the leaders and they'll feel the pressure, the Milan clubs.
Yeah, the Milan clubs will feel the pressure, Barry. But if you take a look at the squad that has been assembled by Antonio Conte out at Internazionale, these are not rookies. These are not novices. These are guys that have been there, done that in different leagues around the world. You take a look at Lukaku. He's won things before. You take a look at the likes of Christian Eriksen. Those are all experienced campaigners. So he does have a bit of experience. Juventus also have it because Juventus have been here before and they have done it. Yeah. But I think it's got to need a lot more than just character and resolve. It's got to need quality. Inter Milan are full of goals. Inter Milan are winning matches. They are actually a very, very good side. So it'll take something spectacular for Juventus to deny Inter Milan, because even if they win their game in hand, they'll be 5 points behind. They'll still require Inter to lose 2 more times in order for them to lead by 1 point. So you've got to say that Inter are in the pound seats here.
And Chris, very quickly from you got to think to yourself that the form that Ronaldo is in right now, Juventus will be hoping for more of that going into this final phase of matches in the league, as it were, because they need him in top form if they're going to make that charge. But at his age, do you think?
At his age, it's a bit of an ask. I think that in as much as we know Cristiano Ronaldo for scoring goals, he's not scoring as much as he used to. And we're going to need other players in that team to show up and to score more goals for Juventus as well.
There was Monday Night Football in England, and Christian Benteke's 95th minute goal gave Crystal Palace the ultimate smash and grab victory to beat dominant Brighton 2-1 at the Amex Stadium last night. Palace's 2 goals that came from their only 2 shots on target and touches in the Brighton box. And Chris, I'm going to add another stat here, because you know what, Christian Benteke, the hero last night, but this is something that he actually does regularly. 90th minute winners all time in the Premier League. There are 5 players who have scored 4 goals after the 90th minute. Ian Wright, who's now a football pundit, former Arsenal player. Sadio Mane out at Liverpool. The legendary Liverpool captain Steven Gerrard, now manager at Rangers. Papis Demba Cisse, perhaps a name we didn't expect to see on that list, the Senegalese. And Christian Benteke. He's actually on that list of players who score regularly after the 90th minute. So good win, this one for Crystal Palace, and 2 touches inside the box, 2 goals, and one of them in the 95th minute, a classic smash and grab.
A classic smash and grab for Crystal Palace, and I think it was surprising. Obviously, I think it was. If you take a look at it, I think Brighton thought they had sealed this up. Brighton is used to winning. Brighton's been playing well, but to be able to seal it in that 95th minute, I think was absolutely brilliant.
And that's the thing, isn't it, Barry, about Brighton? The fact that Brighton will play good football. Entertaining side for a side that finds itself in a relegation dogfight, but they fail to get the result. They fail to always get, to get it over the line, as it were.
Yeah, this result emblematic of the entire Brighton season, isn't it? They just aren't getting over the line. They're playing entertaining football. They're playing very well, but they just aren't getting the results. And I think Christian Benteke's celebration of him symbolically breaking almost pieces of wood on his knees was symbolic of him breaking Brighton hearts in this game, because surely they thought a point was at least the least they were going to leave with. Unfortunately, wasn't to be.
It's a Tuesday, so we take you into France, where Marco Verratti acknowledged Paris Saint-Germain are starting to lose a lot of opportunities to regain the Liga title after their 2-0 home defeat to Monaco. 5 days after their thrilling 4-1 victory over Barcelona in the Champions League, PSG crashed to a damaging loss at the Parc des Princes on Sunday. PSG manager Mauricio Pochettino says he's the one to blame for the defeat.
Caso no solamente para Kylian, para todo el equipo.
Today, it's not only Kylian Mbappe, but the whole team hasn't been at the level required to show what it takes to win. But as I said, the first person responsible is the manager, and I take responsibility for it. When you lose, the first person responsible is the manager, and I assume full responsibility.
Barry, Mauricio Pochettino, they're just taking the blame. Is he taking the blame on behalf of his players, or is it that he actually is to blame for this?
I think he's taking the blame just to deflect pressure off his players. In truth, they're all complicit. They should have been able to see this one over the line with the quality that they have on the field. Monaco themselves are no slouches, but Paris Saint-Germain certainly has more in their tank. I think it should be worrying if this becomes a trend. Right now, it's not a trend. It's just the second of Mauricio Pochettino's tenure. So all they need to avoid is it becoming exactly that, where they go on a run of these losses, these results. As long as they can turn it around, they should be fine.
Mike, just taking a look at the league table, PSG are just 4 points off the top. Is this a crisis situation, or is it something that they can still salvage and be able to finish right at the top?
Well, I don't think it's a crisis, and I think it's certainly a situation they can salvage, but their form is very concerning, Chris. If you take a look at the form table, the last 5 matches, PSG has got 9 points. You take a look at the likes of Lille and Monaco, they've won 13 points from the available 15 in that period. If you want to then broaden the conversation to the last 10 matches, PSG have picked up 22 points. Those two sides that I've talked about have picked up 26 and 25 points respectively. So they have dipped in form, and that has got to be a cause of concern. If they don't arrest the slide in the next 3 or 4 matches, then that gap, which is sitting at 4 points, could well stretch out to 7 or 8 points, and then it will become something that will really concern Mauricio Pochettino.
We wait to see what happens if Mauricio Pochettino will continue to take the blame for the dip in form. But we do have 2 Zimbabwean players out in France. Tino Kadewere, he came on as a substitute when Lyon beat Brest 3-2 last Friday. And Marshall Munetsi delivered a top performance in Stade de Reims' 1-1 draw at Saint-Etienne on Saturday.
Hi, my name is Ovidi Karuru, Zimbabwean player. You are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Time for our Champions League preview. Let's start with the big game tonight, where Chelsea meets Atletico Madrid, and Chelsea manager Thomas Tuchel, TT, is expecting a tough test against Atletico Madrid, despite the Spanish side playing their home leg in Bucharest. The last 16 first leg will be played in Romania due to coronavirus travel restrictions. Despite facing a side on top of La Liga, Tuchel believes Chelsea have all the tools to compete in the Champions League.
This is for sure a test, and this is for sure a big test, sportive, physically and mentally. Indeed, this is a very experienced group. This is a very experienced club on this level. This is a very experienced and tough coach to play against. Yeah, it's a big test, and this is exactly what we want. We want the biggest test because it brings out hopefully the best in us, and we will do it on our way, and they will play their way.
Mikey, I hear him that Chelsea has got all the tools to compete in the Champions League, and I think they do. But it doesn't look like they have settled on Thomas Tuchel's ways as yet, and increasingly he's cutting a frustrated figure in the dugout.
Well, Barry, he's having to have, I think, trying to maintain a balancing act, and here's the balancing act for Thomas Tuchel. 1, rebuilding a side, and 2, having to challenge at the same time. If you notice, he's worked on the defense, he's worked on the structure, on the defensive organization. That is, for me, is 100% for Chelsea. They tick all the boxes in that area. Where he needs to get them really performing now is an attack, because Chelsea is not scoring goals. They remind me a lot of Norman Mapez's FC Platinum in the Champions League, where, you know what, it's structured, it's organized, but you just can't see where the goals are coming from, even though they've got the attacking talents of Callum Hudson-Odoi, the likes of Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Ziyech, Tammy Abraham, and those players, but they just haven't got it going in attack. And so with that limited approach in attack, I think it'll be a comfortable outing for the Atletico Madrid defense, because they tend to defend very well, and behind that defense is arguably the best shot stopper in world football in All Black.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's going to be, even if they attack, Chris, you got to say to yourself that Chelsea's got a formidable defense, firstly, to penetrate, and then secondly, a world-class goalkeeper to beat. And if Mike is correct in saying that you can't see where the goals are going to come from for Chelsea, then Thomas Tuchel will be absolutely within his bounds, you'd think, to then have a conservative approach whereby he makes the back solid so that they're not beaten, and then see what he can pick off with going forward.
Yeah, I think for Thomas Tuchel, a conservative approach definitely makes sense. Like Mike said, there's a rebuilding that's happening. So when you are in that process, what you want to focus on is what you've almost perfected, what you're doing well, and that's their defense, which is where they need to focus. If they do manage to get goals on the break, I think that'll be absolutely fantastic. But against this Atletico Madrid side, I think that's going to be a very tough ask.
Well, it's going to be a tough ask for both sides because Atletico Madrid themselves have a job to do. Let's get the pre-match thoughts of Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone.
Para todas las competencias, no solamente para la Champions, la presencia
in all competitions, not only the Champions League, I would say the quality of Luis Suarez's presence generates confidence in our team and obviously a lot of attention to our rivals because they know that he is a footballer who has a history of having a strong relationship with the goal. So I hope we can play a good match as a team.
Alois, you tend to believe that this is fighting talk because Atletico Madrid now have found a healthy balance between their defensive style and also their attacking prowess. Chief amongst that attacking prowess, of course, Luis Suarez.
Yeah, of course, Luis Suarez brought something sharp for Atletico Madrid, and like you said, rightly said, they are now a different side altogether. Probably Luis Suarez came in and said, you know what, guys, we are not going to be defending. I'm here to score goals, so let's go forward and score goals. So I actually think that they are doing well in that regard as well. And also Felix as well, Joao Felix, I think he is also doing well, combining well with Luis Suarez as well. I'm liking Atletico Madrid at this moment in time because I was so used to the boring type of football where they are only defending. But right now they are actually going forward. You can actually tell they are actually capable of going forward and play attacking football. That's something that is actually very interesting. And I'm enjoying it. Then they are actually looking stronger than they are when they are playing defensive football.
So it just remains, let me stick with you, Alois. It just remains for us to find out how it's actually going to play out. Let's get your prediction, Prophet Alois Bunjira. Tell us, Papa.
Yeah, sometimes I go with my heart. I like young managers. So for me, I'm looking at a win for Thomas Tuchel. I want Chelsea to do well. I want him to do well as a young manager. 2-0 to Chelsea.
Whoa, 2-0 to Chelsea. That's a bit ambitious. It's not without the bounds of reason. But Mike, what do you think of that?
I think Atletico Madrid will score. And I think I would have to favor Atletico Madrid in this one. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Atletico Madrid. I think they just have a bit more of a goal threat compared to Chelsea. They've got Luis Suarez, who's able to turn half chances into chances. They also have, I think, more power and athleticism. If you take a look at their midfield, players like Koke, Llorente, the hero of Anfield, the man who destroyed Liverpool in last year's edition of the Champions League. Very athletic players. Lodi as well playing in that team. So I think they've got a bit more power and a bit more of a goal threat. So I'm going to give them 2-1. I think Mount may get something for Chelsea. I really have been impressed by Mason Mount. I was a doubter, but he's won me over with his performance. He's a very good young English player.
Here I was talking about Prophet Alois Bunjira, should be Prophet Mike Madoda. He's even given us the scorers and told us exactly who's going to impact this match. What are your thoughts?
I think Atletico Madrid just have a bit more in the tank, and they're on a winning streak. They're performing well. So for me, I'm going to go, but I still think Chelsea will score. So 2-1 Atletico Madrid.
2-1 to Atletico Madrid. I reckon.
Come to my church, Chris.
I think Atletico Madrid will carry the day in their home away from home. I think that they've got more than 2 goals in them. I think Chelsea will score. I reckon it's going to end 3-1 in favor of Atleti. There's another match on tonight, and it's Bayern Munich taking on Lazio, and Michael Ballack has no doubt that Bayern Munich will tackle Lazio in a professional manner when the Champions League campaign resumes tonight. Alois, Bayern Munich all-conquering last time out last season when they ultimately won the crown. Now they're floundering. It could be the workload that they're going through. They're going to have a lot of work tonight against a very good Lazio side.
Yeah, they are floundering in the Bundesliga, but I'm sure that in the Champions League, their eyes are like focused on that, and they are still the best team in the world for me. And I see them triumphing against Lazio.
All right, and Mikey, you've got a soft spot for Lazio because of the Liverpool influence in that team, chiefly Lucas in that midfield.
Yeah, absolutely, but very unpredictable side. With Lazio, you never quite know what performance they're going to put up on a given day. They can be very good, and when they're very good, they can beat any side in the world, and then they can also be abject and ship in goals. But I never thought I'd say the same of Bayern Munich as well. Lately, we don't quite know which Bayern Munich side to expect. They are shipping in goals. They haven't kept a clean sheet, I think, in their last 5 games. They have been very unconvincing in their last 2 games against lowly opposition in the Bundesliga, and then the one test that they had versus Eintracht Frankfurt this past weekend, they lost out. So if Lazio can show up, I think they'll be very competitive against Bayern Munich, and with players like Ciro Immobile up front, they'll be able to sneak a goal. They certainly need to score versus Bayern Munich because Bayern Munich are going to score. However, the Germans, I think, are going to miss Serge Gnabry. We've seen how much they miss him. He was always, of course, an alternative source of goals to Lewandowski and to Thomas Müller. Thomas Müller himself missing from this game. He's not going to be playing in this game. So questions will be asked of the likes of Kingsley Coman. Can he pick up his game? The likes of Leroy Sané, can they be a valuable support to Lewandowski and get the away goals that Bayern Munich need? If Bayern Munich show up, I think there is no questions that they will beat Lazio and qualify from this tie quite comfortably.
Chris, how does it end?
I think with all respect to Lazio, I think Bayern Munich, if they do show up, is still a formidable side, and I think that Bayern Munich will be able to sweep Lazio aside.
Sweep Lazio aside. Well, we have to be swept aside by the news team because that's what's next here on ZiFM Stereo. Stay listening to this, my station, your station. We'll be back tomorrow 5 after 6, so don't miss our Wacky Wednesday show. For now, may God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.